on this computer, and we are recording, and we are live with Isabelle Daikeler and everything nuts and bolts about Shakeology and more. So thank you so much for your time tonight. We really, really appreciate it. Pardon me?
I'm sorry, I didn't. There's a huge delay between you and I.
Oh,
so I apologize if I interrupt you.
No.
I was going to say maybe you can tell them about my voice, because I'm going to go as long as my voice allows me.
Absolutely. So Isabelle woke up this morning and did not feel well, and she tried to rest her voice today, but being the busy woman that she is, she got pulled in a lot of different directions, and her voice is very hoarse. So she does have a mic on, and she's going to try to talk very low to kind of conserve her voice. So just put your like we're in school, put your listening ears on, and you know, if you need to go someplace quiet so you can hear a little better, that would be absolutely awesome. If you have any questions, guys, you can type them in the chat box, which I don't know if you know where that is, but if you go to the bottom of your screen to the middle right, it says chat. You can type them in there, and I myself or Alicia can kind of help you field those answers and get those questions answered. We are so excited to have you tonight, Isabelle. I cannot tell you. Alicia and I saw you at Punta Cana with Chrissy, one of Alicia's coaches, and we got goosebumps, like literally goosebumps when we heard you speak at Punta Cana. It was like what you were saying just really made such sense about Shakeology, and I feel like it's a part of Shakeology that not a lot of people know how much you source the ingredients, the testing and everything that goes on through there. So, and I really enjoyed hearing how you came up with the idea of Shakeology. Would that be possible for you to share that with us, how you and Darren came up with it?
Yeah, no, as long as anything that you feel will help you all understand it better and also explain it better is really my goal here. And it's really one of the very few great purpose why I'm sort of coming back on stage a little bit, because my boy is almost 9 in 2 weeks. And I'm getting a bit more freedom, not much actually. I was told boys were different, and I can see that. It's a pleasure to be able to be out more and communicating what I also felt lacked. I just, you know, as I was telling your husband, I'm very inept with technology, and I hardly ever see all the videos that we put out, myself and others. And so I just sort of spent many months, like a couple of months, listening and looking at questions and stuff. And I said, Carl, for some reason, even though we're putting a lot of information, somehow it's not getting through. People are full of questions and mysteries about the whole thing. So that was one of the big reasons why we decided to bring myself along to Punta Cana and just sort of start from the beginning and see if it clarified questions. Plus I have because I need things to be simplified for me, I like to try, and maybe it comes from my one-on-one practice as well, where it was very important to simplify as much as possible so that the heart of an information was being passed on. So I learned a long time ago to just simplify things, and then if there's a need to go back out and add more challenging concept, we can always add them. But as long as the core was understood, that's what really mattered to me. So the shake started so long in my life. So and I hope that many of you listening right now have not heard the story. Otherwise, I'm sorry. Ask more questions so we can maybe get more out of it. In my very early 20s, I got very, very sick. And I won't go through every event, but it led me to an inability to provide for myself. So I wasn't able to go to school. I wasn't able to go to work. And then it went down to that moment that I share in Punta Cana, where I had two very, very small steps that led to my front door. And I collapsed because I could not even go up those two steps. I was exhausted. I was drained. I had no energy. Um, and a great sense of helplessness because I had gone through so many doctors and none of them really had an answer, but many of them had many pills to give me. Now I went through my share of trying different kind of pills, not that many because very quickly I realized I didn't really know what they were dealing with. Um, but I did try an antidepressant because they were telling me that I was depressed. And as I shared, I was telling them, of course I'm depressed. I owe thousands of dollars. I can't continue school. I'm losing all my clients. I'm in bed all day and nobody has answers. And I'm paying a super expensive insurance. And none of the doctor that I'm trying to get in to try to find answers are paid by it. So I'm freaking out. And you're telling me you're depressed. And I'm like, yeah. And I always felt like if I had not been depressed, or I was very enlightened, or something definitely wrong was going on with my brain, because it's those kind of situation where I remember walking toward my home every day and thinking, oh my god, I could be one of these homeless guys any moment now. So that reality of how you become a homeless, I touched based on that, and it humbled me a great deal in judging them. So you gain so much. There's so much you gain through pain and difficulties. I think we tend to be very arrogant and we tend to judge and point the fingers a lot. And I mean, and I think these really hard sort of hit bottom moments are amazing in terms of emotional and mental nutrition. So I have to say, looking back, that I had so many hard time, and I saw myself trying so hard and I couldn't get under from under. It was like one of those waves that keeps going. And so I know how you get to a place where you broke. And I can only imagine when you have a family and kids, what happens to your well-being. So I got to that place where he gave me an antidepressant. I took it once or twice, and I was a mess. Like, it was like a bad trip. And I remember it was the moment I cannot count on anybody else to take care of me. I have to figure something out because I'm going to die. That is how it felt. And so this is the beginning of the shake for me, is my search to heal myself. So it led me to Indian doctor, to homeopath, to osteopath, to somatic therapy, to Chinese herb, to adaptogen mushroom, to digestion, and to the immune system. In those days, that was like at least 25 years ago, like all these things were barely spoken about. And my mom had sent me a book called The Second Brain in French, and the second brain was in the belly. And it blew my mind. It showed me how much the internals had to do with everything we think that the brain is in charge of. So then I started researching that, and that led me to herbs, botanical, prebiotic, probiotic, systemic enzyme, digestive enzymes, even fiber, the understanding of fiber in keeping our intestinals clean in order for things to happen. And so it led me to Chinatown. It led me to all sorts of doctors that did not even speak good English. And it led me to buckets, chaudron, I keep forgetting the word in English, chaudron. My husband told me on stage and I forgot, but there was big sort of old-fashioned bucket that you would cook in.
Cauldrons.
Cauldrons.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I had several, small, medium, large, and I would just dump all these bark and these roots, and there was a timing for each, and I had to stir them every so often. And I was telling people my house smelled terrible. My ceilings were yellow and red and green and purple from all the herbs, and the stuff I drank was disgusting, and I can take it. And but it did heal me. And so I took, like I said, it was cheaper to go Chinatown. So I got these herbs, these roots, which was cheaper than pills and powders. And I made them myself. I grind them myself. And so I took the Chinese name or the Indian names, whatever was given to me, or just pure botanicals. And I started reading, why is it helping me? Because in the beginning, you're just desperate for help and you just take it, but it starts working. And you're thinking, I spent a year. All these experts could help me. And this guy somewhere in Chinatown in his little tiny cubicle with his herbs all over the place is saving my ass. My butt, sorry.
No.
And you're gonna be able to do a bleep or something, right?
I love it. Bleep away.
And that's my track and field days. There's a little bit of leftover.
Good. Yeah.
And so this is where my curiosity peaked. Like, why is it that they can help me? What are we not getting? And so I started understanding the structure and what these plants in these societies represented, what they do. And I also understood the very little that was available, what is acknowledged in the Western world. And I started piecing my own body, how we are alive together. And I also, of course, with that piece, the emotional trauma in my life, the psychological trauma. And for me, those aspects are very, very real. It even leads me, because I came from a family where we were like, good if God exists, and it's okay if it doesn't. Like, I wasn't raised there was no enforcement of anything. So that's kind of how I left it. And I was too busy surviving, a lot of survival back in those days for me. I left home very early. So it led me, of course, to spirituality. And so I have to say that for me, our physical well-being is the same, and it needs to be coherent with the emotional, the psychological, and the spiritual aspect of ourselves, which I think spiritual to me is all of that. So I really see, as I studied plants and herbs and roots and trees and mushrooms, adaptogen mushrooms, I realized that the chemistry and what it was doing was so symbiotic with how we were made up. And I think that anyone who starts really studying the body or plants or nature, how one fits into the other, feeds one another, how this whole thing functions to give us these elements, that our system is actually set up in a very similar manner. So isolating, compartmentalizing really doesn't work, which is what Western science does. Now, again, on stage, I was sharing that I have had great need for Western science as well. So I am not one to vilify that. I had an advanced case of melanoma. I've had 4. And if they had not operated on me, I would be in a place where I would have needed chemo and all that. They were able to save my life. So I am definitely not an either or. I do pray and see that it's the combination of both that is necessary in our world. There is a reason for these advances in technology, and we use them, and it's who is using it and for what purpose that really matters. But I do feel that we have sort of assumed that it will all take care of us, and we kind of got lazy, as opposed to in other countries, they're still very much on top of taking care of themselves, and perhaps because they're poorer, because they have less access to help that we have, perhaps they had to stay closer to earth and help themselves, just the way we were back in the days in America. So I pieced it all together, and it led me to all these elements, and then it led me to helping others. But it also showed me that not everybody can spend hours or has the passion or the need or the ability or the space to do all that research. So slowly over the years with clients, I sort of had combined my learnings with doctors, with homeopath. I started having a little réseau of people, and I would have them do pills, and combine things in a way that was more accessible for people to take. And also I would, I can drink anything. I'll drink anything if it helps me. It doesn't matter how thick it is, how disgusting it is, I will down it. And so not everybody has that wanting, or I think it comes with great sickness, perhaps. So, but when you're not great at all, but you're not greatly sick, maybe that also has to do with how far you're gonna go with that stuff. But slowly I started doing it in a user-friendly way. And eventually, my business was very much, I was also a track and field coach, and kinesiology and sports psychology and rehabilitation, all of that is part of my background. But it all became one. As much as the emotional now and the spiritual now is very, very strong in me. So when I work with someone, I usually work with all the aspects of someone. And this is why it's so gratifying for me to speak to people again, because it's very challenging. I enjoy human contact, and I enjoy human interaction, and I've missed it a great deal. It's challenging to formulate and not have people. I've missed them, missed you all a great deal. So I'm hoping that my boy and I will be able to make that happen more. So that was the beginning of shakes. So I started how to put shake and how to make it taste good enough that people would want to get it, because that's what I realized. It's like, if they don't look forward to it, it falls off the sideways. They'll do it once or twice, they'll forget. But if it's yummy, they'll want to have it. So this is what my son perfected in my life. And so that was really the beginning of the shake, is that I understand survival. I understand helplessness. I understand great emotional angst and physical pain. It's not done. I'm still dealing with stuff. When I gave birth to my son, it did a thing to my pelvic bowl. Once again, nobody knows what it is. Some wanted to operate on me, but if you don't know what's going on, you're not going to cut me open. So I went into a whole search, and I've rehabilitated myself for 9 years now, or 8, because I really couldn't walk my muscles. I couldn't do a track and field coach. I love exercising. I don't do it to look good. I did it because I absolutely had a passion for physical movement. And so it was very emotionally tragic for me to be on the floor, nursing my boy on the floor and not able to move. But once again,
Uh-oh. We're frozen. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, we lost her.
good.
Oh, there she is.
So glad.
You back? Oh, there she is.
Well,
Oh, I can hear you. You're a little spacey, though.
I think we lost her again.
Lost her again.
oh, you're back.
Oh, there,
Okay.
I hear
Okay,
you.
good.
There you are. There you are.
Yay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, let's. So my point is, so here again, it has changed my way of looking at the physical body. I've learned so much from it, and it's taught me another level of compassion for all sorts of challenges that people have physically. So I am not one to jump to the conclusion that one is lazy. I will very much understand what can happen in one's life that makes it very hard to be fit, to be well. So it led me to the shake, and it led me to Carl. I did shake for my friends, for my one-on-one clients. I made shake for the whole family, for my help. And then eventually Carl asked me if I could do a shake for Beachbody. Now, I was very scared of doing that because I had made shakes for companies. And as soon as the profit came in, compromises started happening. And so in the past, as I was saying, I could walk away. And I did that a few times because I'm not a good businesswoman. I just walk away. So I don't even try anything. I'm like, I can't deal. I just walk away. But with Carl, I would be very upset at the CEO when I'm with him. I can't walk away, and I don't want to because I love him very much. So I knew that we had to make a very specific and great understanding and, agreement that he would never ask me to compromise the shake. And he has been incredible. We have run into many, many deeply challenging moments with the shake because it's a very complex shake, and he's just amazing. Really, we can go into that, but he has kept his words, and so have I. So I put a list together of things, ingredients that mattered to me, that brought together all these things I've mentioned to you. So what is in the shake? So our prebiotic, probiotic, our enzymes, our fiber for the digestive tract, our adaptogen mushrooms, our superfood, super antioxidant basically, and superfood, phytonutrients, our greens, and also botanicals and herbs that we added. So all these things are some of the many, many things that have helped me. I had a list, and I needed help because at the time it was just me. And the company was not really into the making shakes business. And a friend of ours that knew an acquaintance of mine that knew Darren said we should meet. And Darren walked into the door, and as soon as we started talking, it was just instant. And he had a list that I had asked him to bring, and it was very similar. Of course, we had different things because you can't think of everything, but we had different things, but it was the same, and it was the same mentality, philosophy, understanding, and it was a match made in heaven. And I asked Carl to meet Darren, and I laughingly say that I hired not him. But of course, if he had disapproved, it would not have been a go. But of course, he loved him. And this is where it started, where Darren was much more able to travel and meet vendors and suppliers and start this work. Now, that was in the very beginning, very rapidly. To our own surprise, the shake became very successful, and so the team had to go way beyond us. And thank God, because no matter how perceptive Darren and I may think we are, the state of affair of the soil and the earth is really not what it used to be, and it's nothing you can smell or taste or feel, or it's beyond our abilities. We definitely need a team, and we've run into, once we had a team and built up a team, to be completely transparent, we analyzed and checked. It was like, holy cow, this is so not good enough. But we were told ABC, but it wasn't ABC. So that was the very beginning of our big wake-up call. And so the vendors and all the suppliers, and most of them that we had in the beginning, are gone now. And we have a huge team now that are traveling all around the world. They're the ones that goes in the Himalayan mountain, Tibet, Japan, India. They go everywhere, and they're the ones, groups that pick things. They know, you have to know what to pick, exactly what the area is. You have to know what to test. You have to know how to test. You have to know how to blend these very highly potent, bitter, strange tasting ingredients, 40, 50, 60 of them, to be able to synergize them together, to know what to tweak in order to make it work without compromising the quality, the purity, and the active. And this is something I talked on stage. So the active is what it is that you get when you pluck a fruit or a vegetable and you eat it. It is the aliveness in a plant, in a fruit, in a vegetable. It's alive. And there are things that we can test, but there are many things that are unknowns yet to us. We have to first be able to create the tools to test for it. So there is what we know, and there's plenty of what we don't know. So trying to keep that purity and those active levels in our plants, in our botanicals, all that, and then make it a powder. This process from A to Z, let's say, is intense and requires lab suits, people with integrity, a lot of money, a lot of expertise, because for a while we may get a product that is great, and then we test and suddenly it's not great. We can't get the truth from the supplier, the vendor, or perhaps they don't even know. And so we then have to drop them, but we have monthly shipping. So then we have to find a way to hang in there until we find a better source. And like our rice protein, we have to get it from Europe. I forgot, I think it's Switzerland. I could be wrong, but it's one place somewhere in Europe. That's the only place that we could find a clean source of rice protein. Again, the volume. So the mom and pops, it's not enough to give us the amount that we need. And at the same time, mom and pops can't afford to test. So we work like a mom and pop company, but we can test like a big company. And it costs money. So when people talk about the price of Shakeology, I totally get it. We went and as low as we could without compromising what we needed to create that shake and also to pay you. So it's a heck of a thing. And we have an incredible team and we need them. Darren and I cannot do this job anymore. We do not have the savvy and the know-how to figure out what is clean anymore because it's a mess out there. I am sad to declare. And I knew that. I have never known it as much as I know it now through this process because we are blown away all the time and saddened. This is not something that I want to say to you. I would want to say that it's not that way, that we can just trust that the soil is clean. A lot of stuff is open pod when it grows, right? So if the pollution of the air is intense, guess what? It absorbs that pollution. So even if it's organic, the soil, the air is not organic. So it absorbs. So we got organic. We would test organic, and it was a mess. Not because they were lying to us, but because the area was polluted. And on it goes. It's a heck of a job. And so to me now, the formulator, and this is why I have a hard time to call myself the formulator. I really don't feel that way. I feel that I'm a co-formulator. I created the shake, the ingredients. Darren and I did that. And we are keeping the philosophy because it would be so much easier to compromise and go the easier way. We are keeping the philosophy, and Beachbody has added expert in mushrooms that know 10 times more than Darren and I know, that have made a career of studying just that. Expert in botanicals, in soil quality. You don't just go check the processing facilities. You don't just go with your fingers and look and you think you know. I can do it. Darren can do it. You have to have an expert do that. That spends months checking the outside of a facility, how everything is processed, how it gets taken from the soil, from the farmers, how it gets picked, all the way to the facility itself, the processing of the facility. It is a big deal. And we are hoping to educate more and more in that story so you guys understand that. I'm trying to cover all the points, my dear. I hope it works. And that way, maybe the questions will be even more specific. So financially, that's the deal. That is what we're dealing with. So getting organic does not necessarily mean that it's good. And I'm not the one vilifying other people. That's not it. The whole thing is too complex. The example of the air is what I mean by that. Also, we have things, like I said, in Peru, Sasha Inchi, that are grown for hundreds and hundreds of years by farmers who have done it a specific way. if you want to follow the organic stamps, they want it done in another specific way. Does it make one better than the other? Not necessarily, but go, and it's hard to understand that, but go try to explain to farmers that have done it from generation to generation that don't speak English, to tell them to do what they've done their whole lives totally differently in order to get a stamp. That alone would cost so much money, so much time, and I don't even know if it would be successful or if they would cooperate trying to make them understand all that. You see, there's nothing simple. All of it is full of mind, like a minefield. Now, I love a good challenge, and we all love a good challenge. So when I hear organic and having the stamp, because I am one who looks for that as well. I look for it when I go shopping because it's our best bet. We all want that. So we're dealing with, if we pay our team, even when we get organic, we can catch that when it's organic, but it's crap, or it's definitely not good enough for our standards. So I want to be able to afford and to pay for that, as opposed to pay for the stamps. All these stamps are very, very expensive, and figuring out how to, again, work all these farmers into the system, and also they get paid less in that process. So we are looking at all that, and we hear you, but we want you to understand that we have all sorts of agencies that look into our stuff, that we get tested, and we will share that in the future. I'm having a meeting with our guys in a few weeks about how do we go about this, because we can't just, it would be as bad to just get you the stamps for the sake of getting you the stamps, and knowing that the stamps don't really necessarily mean the truth. I'm not saying it does, not all the time. It doesn't necessarily. So then you don't really know. So then we become like a vendor and supplier that trusts that it is what it is. So or we compromise on that, or we fuel ourselves with the finance, and we have all these experts and we are adding to our teams all the time, that help us assure without a doubt for us that what we deliver is what we say it is. And that desire and that gamble starts with me. I'm a big proponent of that, and it's been very tricky and very challenging to stand for that choice as of now. But because I've been sick, because it's been very, very hard for me to get well, because I'm still in it from a different point of view now. Now it's from rehab and my body in a different way. But because I know how grateful I am to the ones that cared a great deal to get me well and give me the right thing to really heal me, I care just the same, because that care gets passed on. It's contagious as well. So I care just as much in giving you all something as clean, so that I know that I did the best I could to give you something that will truly help you. Now, I understand all the questions and the desires. I hear you, and unless we can raise the price to $200 and beyond to be able to afford to keep all that we pay for, our incredible research and development, quality control, toxicity team, third party that we bring in very often to test the shake, all that, all these amazing individuals, and pay for the stamps. Right now, they'd be a great compromise, and it probably would be on the purity and the quality of our product. So this is where we stand. This is a challenge we have, but this is also the heart behind it, because all the people that come and work for us, when we meet them, especially there's some people that I sat personally across and I said, this is not going to be an easy job. This is probably going to be the hardest job, because I don't know any companies who do what we do. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. At the level, at the size that we are, it just simply means I don't know any. So if you're not ready for a challenge, please don't work for us. If you love to cater to something that is the best that you can make it, and you're up for a great challenge, then this is the place for you. And I always say, please understand, this is not just words. I'm not having fun with you. This is the real deal. And so the people that are with us are greatly committed as well to that quality assurance. And so this is pretty much all I can think of right now. I'm trying to say as much as I can because I know I don't have much in me. So I'm in the first half hour, I'm giving it all to you.
You are action-packed, Isabelle. I just cannot stress enough. I do not think that people understand the seriousness of what you do, to ensure the topmost quality with Shakeology. I think people think, well, it's a shake, it makes me feel good, but they don't think about the specific ingredients and what they really do. I don't think people understand it. I know myself as a coach, I'm trying to understand it more and more all the time. I don't know everything there is to know about it, but I'm trying to research the ingredients and what they are and what they do. I'm fascinated by the 2 new ingredients.
Yes.
I'm really fascinated by that, the matcha green tea and the chaga mushroom adaptation. I do not think that people understand what they do to their systems and what's special about it. I know there's been all kinds of stuff going on with the green tea, and they don't understand why it's specifically so great. Can you speak to the 2 new ingredients?
Yes. So these are additions. So it's their benefit added to all the other ingredients that, again, exponentially makes the shake even better. Those are ingredients we've wanted for a long time. Our supplier is organic of matcha green tea, and our shaga is certified organic. So as I said, when we can, we get it. And so we're very proud of that. So matcha green tea is one of those little magical plant because it has 2 things in it. It has a very high level of antioxidant, but it also have an element in it that is in enhancing your well-being, brings you energy, but it does it in a beautiful way. In it as well, there's an element, and they all, they're all within the tea itself. It's all synergistic within the tea itself, all at the same time. So they're super high antioxidant, the energy, but it also has an element that brings calmness. So the beauty of it is that if you take a coffee, it will bring energy, but most of us know that there's a down to it. Because of the way that this plant, this plant is designed, the element in it counteract the jittery, insomnia, or nervousness, or eventually great down of energy. It counteracts that and balances it within the plant itself. This is why it brings a calm focus. So it has it's a little magical combo. You cannot do it better because it brings you the best of coffee and takes away what is detrimental about coffee at times. So in the plant itself, so the plant brings that calm, quiet, it will not create imbalance in your system. So it's an energy that's actually quite balancing. And it has this high level of antioxidants. So combined together, it's really a little miracle. This is why it's been drank for thousands of years. I'm looking for the word that they call, because basically all our elements are high antioxidants of phytonutrients. But depending on where it comes from, whether it's a mushroom or a plant or a flower, it has different names. But really their goal is to enhance the immune system and your well-being. So really it's different kind of antioxidants and elements that again will enhance your immune system and your well-being. Now you have the shaga, and when I was discussing shaga, so shaga has been revered and loved just like reishi for thousands of years. It's an amazing mushroom, an amazing adaptogen, but there are so many amazing ones too. Somebody was asking me if it was my favorite. I do love shaga. It's one of the most well-known in the West, But when you start studying each mushroom, it is very, very hard to choose a favorite because they do extraordinary things. And so I'm going to go into shaga, into adaptogen, what adaptogens are. So adaptogens, the beauty of what they do is they can go into the system. It knows what is off balance. So I was telling people that we have a cardiovascular system, we have our blood vessels, adrenal system, and we have different systems that work together to make us healthy. Any one of these systems is out of whack, out of balance, not in coherence with oneself, will create a state of disease or a state of non-well-being or a state of inflammation. So adaptogen, they're this little being, I call them little beings, they're little entities to me. They go in the body and they can look around and they can sense when something is off balance. It can bring it back into coherence with your own system according to your system without putting anything else out of balance, which is what often medications do. This is why they have, what it's supposed to help you with, and then when you take medication, there's all the other side effects that you may or may not get if you take it. That's because it doesn't have the innate intelligence of adaptogen. It goes there and it knows exactly what to do and how to do it. It's a miracle. It's like your best doctors. So obviously this is why Darren and I are so infatuated with adaptogen and wants them in the shake. So shaga is another one of those miracle adaptogen mushrooms. It's full of, again, it's probably because I'm sick that I can't think of all the words. It's full of elements that are antioxidants-like, but they're called different things because they show themselves differently in a mushroom than in a plant. But they have tons of elements, also micronutrients for you, just like matcha green tea. And so it's another one that you add the shaga and the green tea to all the other adaptogens and antioxidants, our plants, our botanicals, and it just raises the bar once again. And we've been working very hard to get pure source and to get it to work too, because sometimes there are things that we want in a shake, but the technology is not there. The technology is important. Most processes are highly toxic. They're made with toxic liquid or toxic ways that add toxicity to your whatever it is that you're taking. So the purity and the kindness, so like our green tea is water processed, very delicate, and so it's processed in a very delicate manner. It's also shade. It's shade grown. So at the last 3 to 4 weeks of the tea, the young tea leaves, we there's different ways to do it, but we make sure there's a certain amount of shade and light that brings the chlorophyll, that green, very good element in the matcha green tea, that vibrant green. It's the shade green ones that bring that vitality, that green. So we made sure that we got that. We also have the whole leaf and we have the extraction as well. So we have both together in our shake, which makes it even better. And so we're very proud of our 2 new additions. I hope I answered the questions.
That is wonderful. I don't think that people understand what adaptogens do. They say the name and they don't understand what it is. And I feel like they're little kung fu fighters in there trying to get everything back in balance. That's my silly little way of describing what they do,
Yeah, it's a fantastic way to say, but add to that, and I hope that they write little questions there if I'm not clear, because I really want them to understand adaptogen. Now you can read and listen to Darren's podcast and he'll talk about each element in adaptogen, but I think it's important to understand the overall of what they do. So yes, Kung Fu Fighter, but no, I would say, but I get it and I like it.
Just to bring it back to the middle, I like the way
yes, but they do it, it's power versus force. They do it without force. That's what medication does.
Gently.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So they don't mess with the bad guys. Yeah. They just bring the good guys back in order so that the good guys themselves can do their job. There's no fighting. Yes. So, you know what I mean? There's no harm done. That is the beauty of it, because as you know, as above, so below, as inward, as outward. So as we create and fight in the world, we create more mayhem and more wounds. And the more often we do that internally, we create more wounds as well, or future problems. That is what happened to me. So until I understood do no harm to myself that way, utilizing these kind elements of nature that don't hurt anything, they just help you bring back in a balance, in a coherence, so that your cardiovascular system, your endocrine system, all these systems get back online, and it does what it knows how to do naturally without us having to do anything about it. But you do have to feed it what it needs to do their job.
Yes. You're right. And thank you for correcting me on that. I kind of get a little goofy.
It was not a correction, because it was, I totally get it, but it was an addition.
Yes. Peaceful. I always think of, like, you know, when people do karate,
There's Tai Chi.
Tai Chi. There you
Tell
go.
them they're doing Tai Chi.
There you go.
And Qigong.
Or Tai Ching. Yes, absolutely.
That's right.
That's wonderful. Well, that's great. I know I had somebody asked a question earlier. I was talking with Alicia, who is my coach, and we were curious. We love the boosts, you know,
Yeah.
that you add to Shakeology. A lot of times people will ask, you know, why do you need to add those boosts? You know, which is a very common question. But or specifically Alicia, was saying she was curious about an immunity boost. Is that
Well, you know what?
What?
Just first of all, we're not done. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
But Alicia, remember that your deep green, so the green boost, and even your energy boost is full of adaptogen mushrooms,
Yes.
which is amazing for your immunity. And also matcha green tea. We have that in there too. And we have it for what I mentioned earlier, the calm focus, the kind, calm energy, this magic that the tea can do. So almost everything that Darren, I, and the team will put out always speaks to the immune system, because it's the guy. It's, you know, I said the guy, but it's all of these elements in us. So most of it will be dealing with immunity. So we wanted to put out an energy boost, because coffee can be detrimental to you. How much, where it comes from, when you take it. And also some people are much more reactive to coffee than others.
Right.
Like I don't do well on it at all. Like I don't drink coffee. I don't care without the acidity. I don't care all that beautiful stuff. It just doesn't do well for me. So, you know, the energy boost was very exciting for me. But again, we made sure that it always supported your immune system. So we will rarely put out something that is not also helping your immune system. And there's more to be had in the future.
It's wonderful news. I always find that I haven't been to the doctor since I started Shakeology in 2013. I don't even need to knock on wood, because I've said it so many times in the last 3.5 years. But I always get a little cold when I travel. I get little sniffles, not like sickness, but just enough to just go, oh, I feel yucky. And I feel like it's something that an immunity could do for me.
Well, you know, this is when I'll touch on other things. As great as our stuff is, and hey, I take it, my whole family takes it, my help takes it, my friends take it. I build a little school for my boy. There's 8 kids. I have a teacher, a principal, and parents. They all take it. So I'm right there with you. It's an amazing, I love our products, and they help us, but we're human. And it doesn't mean that you will never be sick ever again,
right,
because we take the shake, right? Because there is so much more to our health. This is why I have a little Facebook page. I don't advertise it much. I just put it out there, and it deals with the emotion, the mental, and the spiritual, because so much of our health is also our well-being. And also, listen, stuff happens, meaning you are traveling, you have different time zones, perhaps you don't sleep. When you travel, there's so much going on that your body at times, if you haven't had much sleep or a stressful month, who knows what happens to your life. You may be down, and the trip is the extra thing that makes you have a little cold. The beauty is you know what to do now. You know how to support yourself to get out of it faster or to not sink as deep. Listen, I have a virus. So Carl was sick in Punta Cana. He was going in and out of it. I dealt with him. We drank each other's water. We slept together. So he's sick. I'm helping him get through it. He comes home. My boy is sick. So I didn't sleep much in Punta Cana. I didn't sleep for a week with my boy being sick. And then guess what? I'm sick. So at the same time, there were things I was stressing about. I wasn't as zen as I wanted to about it. So like, we're alive and things happen. So this is not, you'll never get a cold. It'd be ridiculous for us to say that. We're trying to give you as many tools so that you don't have to end up at the doctor. And we're trying to educate you that we'll give you as many tools as we can. And if you can educate you and go out and find out more and discover more that you can do for yourself, please do it. The whole point is to help you support yourself in a way that keeps you away from doctors' offices. And when you do get there, thank God they're there. But we don't want to be there often.
Right. Exactly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you for that. Do you have a bucket list thing for Beachbody, for Shakeology? Do you have probably a whole long list, right?
I have there's something that I love, and I think Darren actually, I don't know if he talked about it, but that's something that I wanted years ago, sea extract. Fucodoin, they call them. There's many different kind of, but I love them, and for a while I used them, and then I started testing them more and more as we had more way to test, and our sea algae are not doing too great either. We're kind of messing up the ocean as well. So we had grasses. We all loved our grasses, and we had to pull them out. We had to redesign our Power Green and take the grasses out because we couldn't find the right purity of grasses. It was a mess in there. So I have so many elements, and I don't want to talk too much because I can't give anything away. Okay. But it's definitely always toward immunity, toward digestion, and find a way to do it that's palatable and fun and something that you look forward to. And it's usually has to do with deep greens and deep elements of antioxidants. And also I'm deeply fascinated with our enzyme, our microbiome, like the enzymes and this area that we've talked a little bit, the digestion, our liver, our gallbladder, the system itself fascinates me. And so finding elements that enhance many of these systems at the same time, or 2 or 3 that really work together often, is my excitement and is where I want to design for. So I'm also big on helping the whole system and not isolating one particular element. So I can't speak of any specifics because if you research just a little bit, you'll know. But there's too much. There's too much for me to point out. And the ones that I do like, an aspect of me was already working on it. We work on it for years before we can bring it to fruition. So first, it's a lot of conversation between all of us. It used to be just Darren and I, even though no decisions are ever made without Darren and I's yay or nay. Now it's a whole team, blessedly so. And so there's a lot of discussion about making all the stuff fit with the rest of Beachbody as well, to enhance your job when you're dealing with people that are under certain caloric intake. So it's another challenge we have. Sometimes there are things Darren and I want to deal with because we don't really count calories. And I know I'm way past any of the calorie menu that we have. I would be starving. And so the stuff that I design sometimes will be way too high in calorie to fit in the snack plan, which would then make it hard for you to add it to your whatever it is that you do, right? Whoever you're talking to who's looking at certain plans or certain protocols. So we also have to think of that. How does it all fit together so people can really get a great synergy at that level as well? So that's another element of challenge that we deal with at Beachbody, that a company that just puts out something, it's an element all by itself. We have to make it work for the greater good always.
Absolutely. Well, I just cannot thank you enough for your wonderful time tonight. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions, anybody? Anything that's not super clear in your own heart and mind before I sign off, I would love to talk to.
This is Jen Caden. I had a question.
Yeah.
Just curious how you go about choosing the different flavors.
Oh my God.
Just to choose which one I want. I usually alternate chocolate, vanilla, and such. But I'm just curious to know how you kind of determine the flavors.
Testing. So we have flavors. We hear what you guys ask for. Mm-hmm. And then we take several hundreds or several thousands, and we have questionnaire, and we ask, and we basically try to cater to the common denominator, which one gets the highest votes. And also, we do pay attention a lot to what you ask. So the cafe latte was one of those that we worked on for a very long time. Yes, I love it too. And again, there was a great debate. A lot of people were asking for real coffee in there. And I was very upset about that. I'm like, I'm not worried that they're going to miss out on their coffee. Like, I know they're going to get it. And the shake is really the missing links. It's all the things that you need that may be very hard for you to get, and to get at a high quality and be able to afford, because each of these elements are very expensive. So I said we have to make a cafe latte, but we have to make sure that there's no caffeine in there so that they can still have their coffee in the morning and in the afternoon, whatever, I'm not judging, and but that they have that flavor. And I always felt like if you guys wanted more, you can always dump a cold coffee in there, and then you have all that you want. But the clean, healthy base that the shake is, I don't want to compromise. But we went back and forth on that alone for a very long time because a lot of coaches wanted it. And so there you go. But yeah, it's really a consensus and listening to what we're being asked for. A lot of what's the word in English? Anyway, raise up the hands, who wins the most amount of yay or nay, and that's how we go. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Jen, do you have a flavor you want to put a plug in for right now?
It's funny. I don't drink coffee. I don't like even the taste of coffee, let alone the smell of it. So I tend to do chocolate, vanilla, and I even kind of combine them together, kind of half.
Yes. Yeah. You guys don't forget to combine that stuff.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
The cafe latte with a little bit of chocolate is very good.
Ooh, like a mocha latte.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can do with these.
Jenna, we could have a little chart that says, is there ways to kind of do a little combo?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some nifty mixes there. It's really fun.
I see I do some live taste testing, Isabelle, in my kitchen with my children in my group. So I'm going to have my 5-year-old test this out, and I'll let you know what she says.
That'd be great. I mean, I have my son, saying, I would like to have half vanilla, half chocolate today, because I don't feel like a cafe latte, but kind of, but not really. So, it's great. Yeah. You can really play now. We have enough on our plate to really have fun with the flavors. So while you wait for more flavors, I don't even know what we would do.
That's like a math problem. How many?
There's a lot now.
Math problem. How many flavor combinations could you have between the flavors that we have?
Yeah, because you can do strawberry with some vanilla too, because it softens the strawberry or berry flavor and makes it very smooth and more subtle. That's very good too.
Yeah. Okay. That's so exciting. Okay. Who else has a question? Alicia, do you have a question? Unmute yourself, my friend.
I want to let Mom answer. Or Mom has a question.
Go ahead, Mom.
Where are you, Mom?
There's my mom. Can you unmute your? I'm going to unmute you, Mom. There you are.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to ask, in the future, are there any like meal bars, replacement meal bars in the future?
We have been working on that and figuring out how to make that happen. So we are super aware, and we want to, and we are confronted with lots of challenges. So all sorts of challenges. If we don't have as much time, I could have gone into just several examples of what we're going through. But people, coaches in general, want a bar, but they want a certain calorie, a certain ratio. Price-wise, we have to be careful because now it's something you chew and eat. So mixing elements so that it is yummy and yet not too high in sugar, not too high in calorie, that alone is such a challenge. That is what I encounter on the market. So on the market, there's a lot of nuts, blends, and it's very high in calorie. So then they would mean that the bar would not fit in any of the snack calories that we have in all our menus. So that I'm just pointing one thing out, and also it would make the ratio. So very often you'll see that the sugar content in those bars is quite high, and they have to. So we are definitely completely there with you guys. We want it as well. And just like everything, to be done in a way that will satisfy us and you, and represents our brand, it's a heck of a job. And so here we are. We hear you. We want it. And as soon as we can make it happen, it's going to happen. But we're not saying, yeah, whatever. We want it. We're right there. I mean, I really want it. I really do. So
That's not an
answer, but we all hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question, Mama.
Yes, indeed. My mom started drinking Shakeology when she had her shoulder surgery. And it was the go-to meal for her when she had her shoulder surgery because it was.
Actually, Jenna put me on it to heal.
Yes. Oh, good job.
Yeah.
Looks like you did well.
Yeah.
Yes, and now in a couple of months it'll be 3 years that I've been on it, and I do it every day.
Oh man, that's like music to my ear. Thank you so much.
I do a lot of traveling, and I take my big cup and my little hand mixer, and I mix it up every morning in a hotel, and slurp it down, and off I go.
Oh, it's a lifesaver for me too. I mean, when I travel, I don't have time to eat, and I'm much more sensitive than Carl. Like, I really react to things, which is also, he loves that about me now because it serves the business, but it's a pain. And so I can't just grab like just anything at the hotel. I really can't.
But that's why bars would be so beneficial, to carry in your purse or in your backpack or wherever you're going, kind of thing. And just
you're preaching to yeah, I get it. But in the meantime, I have my little serving little packet, and I use Shakeology, and if I can blend it with anything, that's the beauty of Shakeology, is that you can just put it with a milk or a water, and it still delivers. So
when you're driving in the car, though,
Oh no, I mean, listen, like I said, it's not like anything you say I'm going to disagree with. We all at the company agree with. So we want it, and we are working on it, and figuring out how to design it with all these thoughts and all these needs in mind, because it honestly, like, if you want to understand a little bit the dilemma we have, beside the fact that it has to fit the beach body, all the other programs, because we want everybody to be able to benefit from it, and so that our coaches can sell, but also go in the market and look that when it's raw, or if it's this, like it has 1 or 2, 3 good elements, and then shoot, they had to put some maltodextrin, or they have to put some weird sweeteners or preservative, or they had to, the ratio is way off in carbs or protein or fat. Like, it's difficult to find a very balanced bar. So for all the things you say and more, we know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. I think I'm going to have to sign off because I'm
absolutely. Well, we want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so very much for
so welcome.
speaking with us. I just cannot. My heart goes out to you that you don't feel well. That just it makes me love you even more. But I really hope
That'll be my line now. I'm always going to be a little ill.
you gotta do what you gotta do. You're a wonderful.
We all do what we have to do, and it's a pleasure. And
thank you so.
And I'm very happy to be here. I hope it helped. I'm sorry, I'm still frustrated that there's certain words that I couldn't remember, but really my brain is not together. But if Punta Cana, is that recorded? Is it going to air somewhere?
I don't think that I'm not sure if that part recorded. Did it record, Alicia?
Oh, are you talking about how the actual trip, your presentation on the trip?
That's what we call, because all these words I remembered on that stage.
I feel like it should be. I've seen, other things recorded multiple times, so I feel like it should. I'm surprised it hasn't popped up, because it was, out of everything that we saw, I think that was the best thing we saw. So I'm surprised it hasn't hit the YouTube yet.
Yeah, what the heck?
Yeah. Well,
but I don't know, because for me, it's easier to do my work and then let it go. And then I go home and it's my school, and I have a little sign like stuff that I do, and my boy. And also, if you are interested in emotional and spiritual or and non-religious, really, spiritual and mental, I get a lot of questions from coaches, and this is what I dive into in my Facebook page. I don't know the name. The Facebook gave it to me. I think it's just something Facebook / Isabelle Daikeler, but I don't sell anything there, and it's not about the products. But it's I saw a lot of questions from the coaches that had to do with the emotional and dealing with life in general. So it's a very different tempo. Just so you know, it's more me and my sideline, what I do when I deal with one-on-one. And you're welcome to look at that too, because I know you're all mothers and have kids and jobs and family. And, my desire is to have a community in that little Facebook page where we can safely share challenges and try to really dive in it. So Darren does his deep dive in the food and stuff, and I wanted to bring that emotional, psychological, spiritual aspect, because when I got ill, it hit all these levels. I had to not only do all the things I've explained to you, but I had to also look at my emotional state, look at how I was living my life, how I perceived life. Did I perceive life as an enemy and a constant combat, and it wanting something from me? Or did I perceive life as my friend that was helping me grow, letting go of stuff? So I think that conversation also is happening more and more in the world. And I do a lot of work, and I've done that for many years on the side, and finally ask me to maybe just put myself out there a bit more on that level. So again, there's no products there. It's just talking little videos where we deal with, emotional eating, menopause.
Oh, I saw your emotional eating video was just.
Oh, good. Yeah, so like I'm saying that not to promote myself, but to promote questions. I love questions. So you have the website with Beachbody and all that for the, and these things that we do for the products and the intent behind the products. But, if you need some little loving, tender care, and you want to dive into maybe a different way of looking at challenges in life, that's the other aspect of what healed me, that I'm sharing that. So please take a look, and because it takes all of that for us to be well, right?
Absolutely. I always think it's mind, body, spirit. It's everything, right?
It's all the same. There's no separation. That's what I found out back in those days. I was like, how much I worry about this particular thing, or how much I held on to deep wounds has led me to physical pain. Yeah. I'm not saying all of it is necessarily just that, but there's usually a component of that. And again, because I care about our community, I know many of us have gone through deep wounds and deep challenges that got us ill, which is why we're here. So I wanted to have a place where I could talk and access that without any string attached, where I was not representing Beachbody, I was just talking. And so I wanted to put that out there. All you mothers that I know so well are working so hard. I get it.
Well, thank you so very much. My husband put the link in the chat box, and then I'm going to post it in our group as well to your page, so we can.
I'll be able to see.
Yeah, so we can come get some more love from Isabelle. I mean, I
talking to your husband. I wouldn't even know what to do. Sometimes you pay to boost, and then somebody told me that it gets it to people, and I thought, well, I don't know anybody, so let me boost it. I do that, but like for the life of me, so I just put myself out there, and I just trust that it does what it needs to do. So I thank you for putting the link.
Absolutely.
Because I feed off all your questions. So I try to see again, what's the questions, emotional, spiritual, mental, that comes the most? Yeah. And how can I tackle, like I was asked about menopause, and I thought, okay, I'm going to tackle it on the emotional, psychological aspect of it, not the physical. I could do that too. There's lots of books telling you what you can eat and take, and the shake helps. But I want to tackle it because aging is so vilified. We're not allowed to age ever. So I was like, oh my God, this menopause is becoming this bad thing. And it's a thing that we've lived for thousands of years. It's just the normal things we go through. And now it's talked about like it's a really terrible thing that's happening to you. And how do you stop it? What do you mean, how do you stop it? The beauty of it is, how do you move through it with more ease and grace, but especially with less judgment, because now we're old hag. And I'm using those words because I know that internally many of us feel that way, because the projection in nowadays is that past 30-something, we're done. And I was hoping the male world would balance us, but now I'm watching that the same thing is happening to men. They're becoming little Barbies just as much. So they are about to, in the next 50 to 100 years, having to live up to Ken. So
they have to live up to Ken. That's my husband right there.
Ken, you're too much. We can't do it.
His name is Ken.
So this is the aspect of life that I wanted to tackle there, with humor and with more kindness to ourselves, so that we create less internal stress.
I love it.
So that, all of it with the shake and all that, hopefully all of that soup is helping us all to live better lives. So there you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Isabelle, it has been an absolute pleasure, guys.
It's been so nice. Thank you so very much, everybody.
A round of applause and some kudos. Thank you so much. You just rock. You made it the best Monday probably that I've had in a really long time.
So that makes me very
thank you so very much. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining us, my friends. And
you're welcome. Thank you, everybody. Before you go, how do I come out of this?
I'm going to end the meeting. We're going to all.
Oh, you will?
Yeah, I'll end the meeting and you'll all just go bye-bye.
Okay, I'll wait then.
All right.
Be well, everybody. Be well.
Everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.